So I remember the first time I really had a significant trip on mushrooms, and I thought it was like this really big deal. I thought it was this crazy thing that I experienced. It I perceived it as like an experience that was external to me, like that the mushrooms took me somewhere, showed me something, and then I came back to center. That's not how I see psychedelics anymore. Um, I did LSD for the second time recently, um, during the Christmas, New Year's holiday week. And my new perspective is that psychedelics simply show you, they actually, you actually get closer to yourself. Psychedelics don't take you somewhere else. What they do is they dig away. They dig away layers and layers and layers of muck and dirt that get in the way of your true perception. Um, if you take enough of a psychedelic, you come back home. Um, in a way, the psychedelic experience is the goal of the spiritual journey. While on psychedelics, especially if you're attuned to these ideas of, the importance of the present moment, living according to intuition, um, taking enough of a psychedelic will make it impossible to do anything besides be your true self. You will simply follow. You'll follow. It takes away, all of our calculations about who we should be, what we should be doing, you know, um, and it just reveals our inner core. Um, in a way, I feel that my study of Buddhism, my spiritual study in general, my spiritual practice, my meditation, yoga, um, hanging with spiritual friends, all of these things are kind of after this truth, right? And I'm using language like going after it, but it's interesting because it's already here. And that's what the psychedelics show you as well. It's like, how could they take you somewhere else? How could a little tab of acid this big take you somewhere else? All it could possibly do is change your state of mind. And that's what it does. It's a removal. It's not an addition. It's a removal. That's exactly what meditation is too. When you meditate, when you're sitting down and you're meditating, conventionally what they say is you're focusing on your breath. You're trying to be present, whatever. Really what you're doing is you're sitting there and you're noticing. You're noticing everything that's happening, every thought that's passing you by. You're noticing your breath coming in and out. What you're trying to see when you're meditating is the truth of the matter. You're trying to see exactly what your experience is in this moment without the cloudy haze of your perceptions. Your perceptions, your projections, what you think you're supposed to be doing, who you think you are, your ego. You're just trying to notice exactly what is this experience, because in every moment that you've been alive, your whole experience has been a presence, a present moment where sensations, feelings, senses are coming into your consciousness. All of these things are coming into your consciousness right here, right now. This feeling that we're in a timeline, this feeling that we have a past and a future, that itself is a sensation that arises in consciousness. What we do in the normal day-to-day is we take this past and this future, we take opinions of others, we take all these things, we take our own accomplishments, our own labels, and we create the ego. And the ego is who we project ourselves as, and we do all these crazy wild things to prove that our egos exist. But really, it's just here and now. This is the goal of meditation. Buddhism is about the same thing. I feel like, I don't know, all spiritualities kind of come down to the same thing. It's like, can you see this moment without this hazy layer of ego that you're always putting up? And when you see it, which psychedelics get you there, like, boom, you're right there. You're so there that you start, it's so beautiful that you start hallucinating visually. It's crazy, so the acid experience was beautiful. It is, as Ram Dass said, or actually as Ram Dass's guru said, it's great to visit God, but it's not the true samadhi, or something like that. True samadhi is when you're fully meditative, fully aware of the present, and you've let go of all the layers. You're just right here. I don't even think I'm fully right here right now. It's hard to be there. It's really hard because we were trained otherwise. We were trained to be thinking about the future and the past, which is unfortunate. Where was I going? Yeah, the acid was great. I visited God. I visited the truth. I saw everything. But what's cool is, and I can tell I'm growing spiritually because, like, that first mushrooms trip, it was this big deal. Like, I'm going to go to this place the mushrooms are going to take me to, and it's going to be crazy, and I'm going to come back and tell the story. Now it's like that what I saw in the LSD, sometimes I see it on my walk in the park, because I've been meditating and I've been studying spirituality and I've been trying to let go of the ego. And it's fucking crazy to say that like I can induce an acid experience raw just by being out in the world and entering a meditative state. If you're in the present moment, you might as well be on acid. The acid doesn't show you anything additional. It's crazy, right? Like, sometimes you see things when you take acid. I have this incredible visual hallucination on psychedelics that's actually repeated across 2 different experiences where I'm able to see what appears to be tribal face paint on everybody in my field of vision. It's phenomenal. I interpret this to be me seeing their essence, their inner essence. No words need to be said or exchanged. I can just, boom, I see that person immediately. I see their essence. I see their energy. This is a visual hallucination that is repeated across 2 psychedelic experiences. And there are other, visuals, like acid can have a lot of patterns, and it's like, okay, how are you going to say that the acid is not adding that? How are you going to say that those things are already there? If you remember being a kid, did you ever like close your eyes really tight and you start to kind of see these patterns and shapes taking form? Because I do, and I did that. And even as I'm opening my eyes right now, do you see that grainy layer? It's like the ISO of a camera. You see that grainy layer? That's where, when you're tripping on a psychedelic, the visuals are created. I believe they're created by our imaginations. Okay, let me give this a try to explain this. I think our capacity to see magic, to see these hallucinations, I think we always have this capacity. I don't think you need a psychedelic. I think we've been trained out of it. Like, we've been trained to prioritize the ego. Sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, damn, I'm going off the deep end, but whatever. We've been trained to suppress our imaginations since childhood. Parents will be like, what? Like, you're, that's crazy. Like, but there is this grainy layer. And if you close your eyes hard right now, you will see all these fantastic colors. and all these fantastic patterns. And your brain, seeing, when we see, we're not really seeing, right? All of this information is coming in and our brain is interpreting the image. That's what we see. But that's not true seeing, because there's a layer of perception. That perception, that goes through all of the training that we've gone through to be members of society. So we're not really perceiving. We're perceiving what we want to perceive, right? On psychedelic or in a meditative state, you're just perceiving raw as is. Like, do you understand? Do I understand? I don't even know. Back to the eyes closed thing. Yeah, like there's this grainy, colorful image when you close your eyes, and your brain needs to interpret that to show you what you see. If you let go of all your shit, your brain is going to show you some fantastic images, some patterns, colors, shapes, full out scenes, And that can happen too with eyes open, because there is that grainy layer and that needs to be interpreted. And we have a very strict interpretation of the world around us. And this is a metaphor for everything. When we go out and we walk outside and we see things and we're experiencing things, we take a very, very narrow perception. We take a narrow perception, and there's far, far more out there. And if you're able to, what's crazy is I've met people who didn't even have to become quote unquote spiritual in order to see the magic in the world like this. There are people who just somehow knew that what they were taught was wrong, and they held on to their childlike imagination, and they've always seen the magic. They didn't need to study Buddhism or sit down to meditate or take psychedelics at all. There are some people who just see the world in all its true beauty. But most of us, we've been trained out of it. We've been trained to see a very, very narrow vision of the world. And when you've been trained that way for over 20 years, it's hard and it's startling to see the other side. So it's actually more comfortable. It's much more comfortable to take the view of psychedelics that, oh, this is a crazy experience that's going to take me somewhere and then I'm going to come back. That is far more comfortable than the perspective that psychedelics show you the truth of your being. Because if psychedelics show you the truth of your being, then it's like, then when you come back, it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is all this stuff in the way of the truth? And since my spiritual path is developing so much, speaker just turned off. Took me out of the moment, but I'm back. Since I've been studying this stuff and thinking about it and meditating, and truly entering the present more and more, I really did see this most recent psychedelic experience as a view of the truth, the raw truth. I remember just walking down the street here in Brooklyn, and my vision was so clear. I could see everything. I could see miles away down the street, and everyone in my vision, like I said, I could instantly perceive them. Like I saw them to their core, and I saw how we all walk around in our outfits, playing our roles, and I could see right through that, and I saw the individuals, and I saw their souls. And yeah, I in my mind with my buddy / lover that I was with, we talked about how we got into this illusion, how our society trains us to see things in a narrow way, how crazy it is when you start to see through the veil, how we start to understand artists who talk about love. We start to understand why so many artists take psychedelics. Start to understand that there could be another way. Start to, taking it all the way back to the forbidden fruit, that the the biggest struggle of man is our knowledge of self, because that creates a self-consciousness. That self-consciousness is the only thing that puts a wall between us and the entire universe, which is sad because we are an output of the universe. We are inextricable from it. We are the universe. We just happen to be able to dance around. And we take it so damn seriously all the time. We're like, I gotta get to work. I gotta get a corporate job, and I gotta make a lot of money. And we take it so seriously because we think we have to prove something. But when you have these experiences of truth, you realize that there's nothing to prove. You're a part that's flowing with the whole. There's no separation. You're a part of it. You're a part of it. And all of life is a present moment. It's a present moment that's morphing. There's no timeline. This present moment is changing. Present moment by present moment, there is change. I'm not here at this moment in space-time. It's all the same thing. And then you come back to reality, and reality is not really reality. It's just our version of reality that we were taught and that we accepted. You come back, and then it's startling. And I was startled, actually, after this particular trip, because I was like, whoa, I see the whole thing now. We live in a society that does not see it. We don't vibe. What am I going to do? Like, do I need to go live in a hippie commune with people who get it? Like, what do I do? It's unsettling. It's unsettling to have a spiritual awakening and realize that you live in a society that's largely stuck, in a society that has not put in the effort to see that life can be really good, that there is a different way of being. It's startling. It's a little bit unsettling. And so I experienced some anxiety after this particular experience, and this trouble going back to reality, because we are in this reality. Right now, I am in this reality. I live in this society that, unfortunately, by and by, is not spiritually awakened. Like, I am here. I have to deal with this. Over time, I began to accept it. I was like, okay, if I'm in this world, I must have a part to play. I cannot reject my reality. That's another important wisdom of Buddhism. We accept the entire present moment as it is. Do I see an idealized, awakened, enlightened society that is possible? And am I bummed that we're not there? Yeah, I am. But this is my reality. This is my lifetime is here. It's at this stage of humanity. And I need to accept it. And it's like, yeah, maybe I still have a part to play. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I can see both sides. I'm grateful that I can see both sides. And, I got here at 25. There are some people who never, there are some people who are stuck in the illusion for their entire lives. So, to be seeing these things as a young person with a lot of energy, a lot of artistic drive is very, very lucky, because I can morph the way that I'm living within this society. I can choose to start living based in more love and truth and presence, and I can embody the spiritual truths that I've been learning. I'm lucky because the life trajectory I was on, say 5-6 years ago, was very different. I was actually heading straight towards the depths of the illusion. I was gonna, when I was in college, I thought I was gonna get a software engineering job with my computer science degree, and I was gonna be chasing money, more and more money, and stability for my whole life. And I'm very lucky that I see another way now. I'm extremely lucky. So that's how I kind of settled back in. And in a way, it's like that, when you take a psychedelic, you do have to then reintegrate into your life. And while I do believe there could be a society, a way of life that is fully embedded in the spiritual truth, in the truth of the matter, in the present moment, a society that simply allows humans to be, that's not my reality. So there's a reintegration. And for me, because of the acid, along with, it was that holiday week where society's kind of loosened up, similar to a weekend where it's loosened up, the rigidity is lifted. That was especially the case during that holiday week. Plus taking the acid, experiencing both of those shifts in tandem was overwhelming. It's like suddenly everyone gets back in lockstep. Everyone gets to work. You're expected to, act in certain ways again. You're expected to, suddenly follow the days of the week and the time, just as two examples. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, and it took me a while to fully reintegrate and come to this perspective of acceptance. I'm like, okay, I accept this reality. I have a part to play. Maybe I have even more of a fire in my spirit as an artist, because I believe I see something that is important to share. And, if I think about myself growing up, I did gravitate towards spiritual artists, Jack Kerouac's The Dharma Bums. It spoke to me before I really even knew that I was spiritual. Certain songs, like the Beatles, like there were songs that I enjoyed before I knew that I was spiritual, before I knew that these were spiritual songs. It's like art is really important. And I think it's like, I don't really see, it's like fucking crazy. Like, it's like fucking crazy when you start to see these things. It's like, how can you do anything besides make art? It's like, how else are you going to communicate these ideas? Yeah. And maybe that's just speaking for myself. Like, I know there are plenty of fully enlightened beings who are, they serve in their own way. They don't serve through art. They don't serve through art, nor trying to elevate other people's mindsets or awareness. They maybe serve the planet, tending to the land, making food, or serving the community. There are certainly fully enlightened beings who are not artists, but like on my particular path, and I think I understand why why some people become artists. The book Just Kids by Patti Smith suddenly makes sense to me, why one of the characters was taking LSD to do his paintings. It's like when you go from being totally in the illusion to stepping out of it, it's literally like it's the most fucked, mind-blowing thing you could possibly experience. And the urge is to just grab people by the shoulders and shake them. Like, do you see it? But you can't do that, and some people are not ready. And it took me 25 years. It takes other people 50 years. It takes some people more than one lifetime. Some people are not ready within this lifetime to awaken and to become aware, and that's okay. But some people are. And I think art helps push those people along. Art and expression and sharing these ideas and having spiritual friends and reading and study, and it's like we're all helping each other come home, as Ram Dass would say. I wonder if this podcast should have a format. I don't know. I did ask you guys in the last episode if I should do reading updates, and that got an enthusiastic response. So I feel like so reading has been a very, very, very important part of my spiritual journey. And I have the essential reading list on Amazon. I feel like I need something better to keep track of it. Like verbalizing what book I'm currently reading in the podcast does not feel like enough, because I can tend to read very sporadically, but like these books have been so important. Like you don't even understand. Like the books on that essential reading list like have given me or catapulted me towards awareness. And I don't know, maybe it should be like a blog with summaries and my takeaways from each book, like maybe something like that. So I'm thinking about that, but for now I will share that I have been reading OSHO. I'm currently reading Creativity by OSHO. It's a phenomenal book. I mean, OSHO is a really wise spiritual leader. Disclaimer, if you've watched Wild Wild Country on Netflix, he was the guru that started a gigantic commune in Oregon that had some heavy controversy. So, you can form your own opinion if you are someone who likes to form opinions. You can form your own opinion about Osho, but his books are fucking life-changing. The first one I read, so watching Wild Wild Country is what wanted to make me check out Osho, because I was like, okay, if he's getting all of these spiritual people who love life and love and who want to live freely into one place, he must have some important wisdom, and he does. I have a thing on it. I'm not going to take it. The first book I read by Osho is called Intimacy. It is a beautiful, a radical take on how to love people. And it makes so much sense. And reading that book has transformed the way that I relate to people, truly for the better. It's helped me take down my walls and to truly let people in, and to, just further get rid of that ego separation, that thing that our ego does that makes us feel like we are here and others are there. The perspective in this book, Intimacy, it teaches you how to merge, how to surrender, how to be one with the whole. And you start being one with the whole by being one with a lover or a friend or yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I highly recommend that one. The Creativity one is really good too. Obviously, I'm, as you could probably tell, starting to feel like I'm meant to be an artist, and this podcast is a part of it. I also have been really, really itching to just write, and I already write in my journal, but I think I have some important things to write. And of course, my art comes out on TikTok as well, if you're following me there. But yeah, this one's about egoless art. It's about what is true art, and true art is when you are not making art to bolster your ego. True art is when you are acting in the present, and I've talked about this in previous episodes. That's the reading update. See, it's like I could say so much about each individual book. It's like, do I start a blog where I write each book title and then my summary and takeaways? Do I do individual episodes about each book? I feel like I could go multiple ways with this. Maybe there could be a blog with a list of the titles that each correspond to a video, where in the video I verbalize the summary and key takeaways. But that just comes down to which medium of expression, and I don't think it really matters. that's going to be it for this episode. It's getting late for those who believe in time, and I don't want to be too loud in my room here as it gets late. So, Godspeed on your journey. Please share where you are. Share what's bugging you on this journey, what's getting you stuck, what are you working on. I'd love to source topics, things to discuss from the comments on this Patreon. So please share any and all of your responses fully and freely. This is a non-judgmental space. It's all love here. We're supporting each other. Let's elevate our consciousness. Let's create a joyous and loving life for each other. So share what's on your mind. And I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.